Yeah, I'm doing a draft show. Hello, welcome to this very special episode of The Guido Goes Off. Like everybody else, I'm going to be talking about the WWE Draft. Now, it might be a little different than what everybody else is doing. Basically, what I'm doing, the way I'm going to do this episode, I'm going to break down the Raw and SmackDown rosters by divisions, basically. Your marquee match, your mid-card, the women's division, and tag teams as well. So, why don't I get started? Okay, for this part, Marquee Superstars, these are basically your guys that are at the top of the card and have been there for some time, or who it seems to be is going to be at the top of the card for at least the foreseeable future. Now on this list I put 4 names from each brand. For Raw, I've got Seth Rollins, Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, Chris Jericho. For SmackDown, got Dean Ambrose, John Cena, AJ Styles, and Randy Orton. With Rollins and Ambrose being the first picks for each brand, that was a very good idea. It's more than likely these two guys are going to be feud. They're seeing those two guys as their top guys for those brands. Ambrose and Styles could be neck and neck in that area. The draft pick of Cena, everybody pretty much knew that was going to happen because they want the ratings boost for SmackDown. Lesnar, honestly, I don't even know why he was drafted. He only wrestles like twice, maybe 3 times a year, depending upon, depending upon his current troubles. But honestly, I don't know why he was even drafted. I mean, it's relevant due to SummerSlam, but then after that, we probably won't see him again to the Royal Rumble. Jericho right now is doing what Cena's probably going to be doing for the foreseeable future, and that is helping bolster newer talent, your mid-carder guys. But Jericho is always a threat to the title picture. So who do I think won in this round, as far as this division's concerned? I see a lot more star power on SmackDown. Because Ambrose is wildly popular. Cena's always great with kids. AJ Styles, great everywhere. And as many times as we've seen that and maybe bitch about it, Cena-Orton matches, those are always really good matches. So, as far as marquee talent, I'm going with SmackDown. Alright, now we're moving on to the mid-card rosters. Of course, you notice Raw seems a bit bigger, but then a 3-hour show compared to 2 hours of SmackDown. Now, don't get me wrong, a lot of these draft picks make sense because you have feuds ready to go. I mean, you have, Zayn and Owens here on Raw, already ready to go. You still also have Baron Corbin and Dolph Ziggler on SmackDown. This helps because, it gets you right into the swing of things. Pardon the pun. Now, I have a couple of questions on this. Yes, I know I put Bray Wyatt as mid-card, but bear with me. Let's face it, he hasn't had any title reigns yet. Still hasn't really. I mean, and yes, it's more developmental it's more towards creative for not really getting something going with him. Now, as you can see, we got the divisions. Bray Wyatt and Rowan on SmackDown, Strowman by himself on Raw. So the Wyatt family is split up. And we also heard prior to the draft that the Lucha Dragons split up. Sin Cara's on drafted to Raw, Kalisto drafted to SmackDown. Now, one thing I noticed was that Raw drafted a lot of the lighter weight guys. So, and forgive me for this, but I'm going to add another name to this list. I know a lot of you are asking, well, how can you add Finn Balor to the mid-card list? Cruiserweights. As was announced on Raw, the Cruiserweight they were going to bring back the Cruiserweight division with the success of the Cruiserweight Classic. In order to do that, you need some stars that are ready to go, not to mention that they're slowly signing some of the ones from the Cruiserweight Classic. I know that Grand Metalik and, of course, Kota Ibushi, my favorite to win, have been signed by WWE. So, more than likely, they will find a home on Raw. And like I said, a lot of the lighter weight guys. Sami Zayn, easily under the 205 mark. Neville, under the 205 mark. And Sin Cara, I think, can get under there. So, you've got the buildings for your Cruiserweight division. I know it's people think it might be sacrilege to add Finn Balor to that list. But think about this for just a second. In New Japan, he was the junior heavyweight champion, the IWGP junior heavyweight champion for a good portion of his career. It's when the Bullet Club was founded, was to protect his IWGP junior heavyweight championship. So it does make sense to have Balor in that cruiserweight realm because it gives instant credibility to the cruiserweight division. Some interesting things that was an interesting note with SmackDown. Kalisto's on that list, which is odd because he fits that bill of a cruiserweight. So it makes me think it was a little odd because he wasn't drafted to Raw. Another thing I noticed, Zack Ryder and Mojo Rawley, another NXT pick, were both drafted by SmackDown. Do I see them as singles competitors? Possibly. But I do have a feeling that they will unite them as the Hype Bros. Other than that, I think it's pretty solid on both ends. And yes, while Raw might have a larger number, again, they have more space to fill, and it seems like they have a plan as far as that mid-card's concerned. My edge in the mid-card goes to Raw. Okay, now moving on to the tag teams. It was interesting that tag teams were one pick in the draft, as opposed to the fact that each one could be split up. It's a pretty interesting mix of tag teams between Raw and SmackDown. On Raw, the New Day on Raw drafted the New Day, Gallows and Anderson, separating the club, Enzo and Cass, Golden Truth, and the Shining Stars, Primo and Epico. While SmackDown drafted one of the first tag teams, American Alpha, the Usos, the Ascension, Breezango, the Vaudevillains, and as you can see down there in the brackets, I do have Hype Bros on there because it's a distinct possibility with Mojo Rawley and Zack Ryder being on the same brand. To be quite honest, it's with SmackDown, with the exception of the Usos, it's basically NXT's tag division from last year. Denzel Cass being off to the side here. So, the thing was, tag team wrestling was very popular was really taken off in NXT at that time. So SmackDown has a good, solid tag team division with or without the Hype Brothers. Hype Bros. I'm gonna say that. And yes, well, you got very entertaining tag teams, the likes of the New Day, of course, Enzo and Cass, and say what you will, Gallows and Anderson are very great on the microphone, and they're also, but they still really haven't hit their stride yet as a tag team, at least as far as WWE is concerned, because they've been mostly flunkies for AJ Styles, and what worries me is they'll be flunkies for Finn Balor again. So, but in New Japan, while they were flunkies for Finn Balor, they were the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team Champions. Again, I see some interesting picks, but to be honest, you have a lot more to play with in SmackDown than you do on Raw. Like I said, those guys could be flunkies. The Shining Stars, they're just really spinning their wheels anyway. And yes, while entertainment value, it's great. There's basically going to be a lot more interesting tag team wrestling coming from the SmackDown side. So who do I have as the winners of the tag team war? SmackDown. Now getting to the women. What can I say? What can I say? This is way too lopsided for my taste. Because on Raw with their second draft pick, drafting Charlotte, reigning women's champion, and then their next their first picks of the second round was Sasha Banks. Now it gets to some pretty good solid workers here. Paige, Alicia Fox, Summer Rae, solid wrestlers. Dana Brooke, I understand they want to keep that Charlotte Dana Brooke thing going, and apparently backstage is riding high on Dana Brooke. She is still totally green. Honestly, she shouldn't have left NXT. Yes, I know she's been on the main roster, but she shouldn't have left NXT. She should have had a lot more training. But a big addition for Raw, Nia Jax from NXT. This was the big division for NXT. 4 of the 6 draft picks that were coming from NXT were women. So on the SmackDown side, Becky Lynch seems to be your top lady as far as the SmackDown women's division, followed closely by Natalya. Then SmackDown drafted Naomi, Alexa Bliss, Eva Marie, and Carmella. This is where my lull moment of the night came from, but made me laugh out loud. And in fact, actually seeing some videos taken backstage of Eva Marie moping because she was drafted by SmackDown. Miss All Red Everything on Team Blue. To be honest, how does she have a job again? I'll never get the answer for that. Now, going into that, yes, you have that ready-made feud with Becky and Natalya as far as SmackDown is concerned, but other than those two, you've got Naomi coming back from injury and filming the Marine 5. Eva Marie, who honestly, the only way she could get a positive pop is she got hit by a truck. Not that I'm advocating she get hit by a truck. I'm saying it's the only way people would cheer, because she's just awful. And then you've got Alexa Bliss and Carmella. Now, these two ladies are going to have the big mountain to climb, because a lot of the main roster fans aren't really going to know who they are. So they have to reestablish themselves. I mean, it would have been easier with Carmella to be drafted to Raw to be with Enzo and Cass, because that's where she got her start. That's where, those two helped her get traction in NXT and would help again on the main roster. But I see where they want to do something different. Kudos. But like I'm saying, this, as far as divisions go, the women's divisions for both Raw and SmackDown, it seems really lopsided that Raw got the better picks of women. Like I said, you got a lot of solid workers that can cover up any flaws. Now don't get me wrong, you got Becky and Natty. Honestly though, unless Naomi made some drastic improvements while she was gone, all SmackDown's women's division has is Becky and Natty. My edge goes to Raw. Okay, now I'm going to some of the names of wrestlers who were undrafted. Yes, believe it or not, this happened. We have some free agents floating around on WWE's roster. Starting off with Heath Slater. For those of you who are watching the Draft Center live, you saw him sitting alone in the room. Nobody drafted him. I could see that. Now, yes, he is injured, so he might not be back for a bit. But this could lead to some interesting things. Kind of like a few years ago when he was really spinning his wheels and just trying to annoy the shit out of everybody. Two others that are injured were not drafted: Emma and Luke Harper. It seems like they might be splitting up the Wyatt family, having everybody go their separate ways. But Luke Harper, when he comes back, I see him being that stalwart that returns with him. Emma, when she comes back, I could definitely see her on SmackDown as well. Due to the fact that, like I was talking about earlier in the women's, it just seems like they could use another solid worker on SmackDown's women's division, and Emma would fit that bill perfectly. As you can see, I got one more name on there: Undertaker. Taker was not drafted. More than likely, it's because he only works once a year. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with these folks. Okay, except for Undertaker, it's Mania. In conclusion, who do I think won the draft? I personally see it as a draw. I mean, there's great storylines ready to go for both Raw and SmackDown. Both have a wealth of talent. Both have people that can use some work, but they also have well-rounded talent to compensate for it. Again, the cruiserweight division being exclusive to Raw, that does make things interesting and will also help bolster a 3-hour show. But again, who knows? Like I said, we've got people floating around in free agency. No one knows where they're going yet. We've also got, the possibility of some people being hired back to help fill spots. So, in conclusion, who do I think I don't think anybody truly won the draft, but nobody lost either. We're just going to see some interesting shows from here on in. That is going to be it for me on this episode of The Guido Goes Off. As always, you can follow me on my poorly drawn Twitter and my even more poorly drawn Instagram at r_man_Guido. Feel free to drop a comment about this show. You can also, I'd like to hear your opinions on the draft. Put them down below in the comments section. So, until next time, I'm the Guido, and I think we're done here.